Do you know what you need to stop doing to become the most successful listing agent ever? It's not about doing more, it's about doing less. Yes, my name is Chris Stafford, 30 plus year listing agent, still working in San Francisco in the trenches. So I know what's working and what's not working, and I'm also the founder of the Listing Collective. But let me tell you how to become a successful listing agent by doing less. This is what you have to do. I think a lot of times all of us listing agents think that, oh, we have to work 12 hours a day. Then you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're trying to figure out why you don't have all your to-do list items done. And it's all about trying to work smartly. Doing less is better than doing more. And there are so many things that listing agents are doing during the day that you don't have to do, that you should stop doing. And I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned in the past 30 years in terms of how we can become more efficient, proficient, and also just be a successful listing agent and successfully fill our listing pipeline so that at a minimum, we are closing like 2 listings per month minimum, if not more. I love to see more. That's what we teach in the Listing Collective. But here are some things to stop doing, okay? Stop obsessing about separating your work life and your personal life. Guess what? Try to get it balanced. That's what you should do. But there's really no real difference. I mean, what I have found is successful people in whatever line of work that they're doing, successful people, they have figured out a way to integrate their personal life and their business life. And because it's just so exhausting to try to, carve out separate time for this and carve out separate time for that, because most successful entrepreneurs, most successful listing agents are really driven. They're absolutely driven to succeed. And that's why it's super important to have a very strong vision, a mission statement, so you know why you're doing what you're doing. Another thing to stop caring what other people think. So many of us get caught up in this whole thing that we've got to really, be all things to all people, and we got to try to please everybody. Guess what? It doesn't work. You can't please everybody. It's just impossible. And if you can get off that roller coaster, guess what? Not only are you going to have a better business, you're going to be able to focus better, but you're just going to have a healthier, more joyful life. It's just so freeing to not care what other people think about you. Seriously. Another thing to stop worrying about is the short term. Okay, stop worrying about getting results in the short term. Success is a long-term play. Seriously. You want to make sure that you're setting yourself up as much as possible for the future in the long term, because you're not going to be, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to just instantly be a success. Keep doing the successful things that you should be doing every single day in the short term. All right, so focus on those small steps that that you have to do, like prospecting, meeting with clients, writing contracts, signing listing agreements. Those are the things that are really going to play out for you in the long term. But just because, and I always like to say this, you don't get results today, that doesn't mean you were a failure. I always say, judge the success of your day based on your actions and not your results. Absolutely. Another thing, shut off your phone notifications. I know I have a problem with this sometimes myself, but I literally have to go through and shut off my phone notifications, because what happens is it's just like a dopamine hit when you hear that ding because you got a text or you got a WhatsApp message or whatever it is. But the problem is it really takes you out of your zone. It really removes you from your zone, so you're not focused and you're not present. That's super, super important. All right, so stop that. Another thing that I love talking about is get rid of the energy vampires in your life. Stop hanging around with these people. I mean, really do an audit of your life and say to yourself, whoever I'm dealing with in my life, are they contributing to my wellness and joy, or are they just sucking the air out of the room? I just had a conversation with a dear friend of mine yesterday about this while we were on our 8-kilometer walk. And I was telling him, I says, you know what? There's a woman that we met recently and had dinner with, and she's the most lovely, beautiful, kind-hearted creature in the world. But it's really hard to have a conversation with her because she sucks the air out of the room. She just talks incessantly, nonstop about herself. And anything you try to interject, it's just, you don't need people like that in your life. Get rid of the energy vampires in your life. Some of you might be saying to yourself, okay, but what happens if I'm married to them or they're part of my family? Give me a call. Let's talk about that. I have strategies, people, because I know that we all have people like that in our families and out of our families. So the other thing that stop doing is to stop making or trying to make everybody happy. As I said earlier, you just can't please everybody, and it's absolutely exhausting. So you don't need to make everybody happy in your life. You need to make a number of people happy in your life, primarily your partner, husband, wife, whatever, and you need to make your clients happy, especially if you love working with them, but you can't make everybody happy. So just get over that trip of yours. Here's one that I love that I came up with, and I realized this many, many years ago, is stop staying up late. You know, you need energy in the morning. You need a good night's sleep. Sleep is your body's way to recoup, re-energize, reevaluate everything. So go to bed early. I know a lot of people say to themselves that I'm going to use an alarm to get out of bed. I think you should have an alarm to get into bed at night because you shouldn't be staying up late. I have one client in particular that I worked with for many, many years. And one of the primary discussions that we always talked about is how come he couldn't get into bed before 11 p.m. And he would always stay up late watching movies on his phone and all this other good stuff. And we eventually got him off that rat race, if you will. But go to bed early. Get a good night's sleep. Your mornings are sacred. To me, that is absolutely non-negotiable. Seriously, super important. I think the other thing that a lot of people do, and God, you're seeing it so much in the country right now, a lot of times blaming everybody else. Stop it. Stop blaming everybody else for everything. Take responsibility for your own actions. Stop blaming everybody else. I don't know why people do that. I never really got into doing that. If you made a mistake, own up to it, confess, fix it. That's the best thing to do. Have empathy towards other people, but stop blaming everybody else and just fix the problem. That's really what you have to do. Another thing to stop doing. I'm coming up with a lot of good ones right now. Another thing to stop doing is saying yes to everybody. You don't need to be a yes man. The older I get, the more I realize that it's okay to say no. And it is so freeing, let me tell you, when you can really say no to people and just not have a hard time with it. When I was younger, I had a really hard time with this. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I said yes to everything. Just because, again, going to the earlier comment, I guess I was just trying to make everybody happy, which, as I mentioned, you just can't do. It's impossible to do. So, learn how to say no, free up your calendar for the things that are the most important that you know that you have to do, and stop everything else. And then the other thing is, this is the thing that just drives me crazy because I have people that are very close to me that have this problem. Stop overthinking everything. I mean, I have people in my life that cannot make a decision if their life depended on it. And they just overthink and should I book the airfare? Should I book this trip? Should I, call this client? Whatever it is, I have some people really close to me that have a really hard time with decision making. And I always say, one of the greatest things that I'm proud of myself is that I'm the greatest decision maker. I make decisions like that. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I can make decisions immediately. They're not always the right decisions. And I'm okay with that. Listen, if you have 70% of the information on which to make a decision, make the damn decision. Why not? That is called being a responsible adult, and that's called success. That's how you make a success of yourself in your listing agent business. So I just don't know what else to say. Is just practice, start making decisions. And then finally, the one point I wanted to make too is stop comparing yourself to other people. We all do it. We need to stop. The only person that you should compare yourself with today is who you were yesterday. Who you were. That is who you should be comparing yourself to. You need to just improve your life every single day in a small way. Take micro steps to improving your life every single day. Something that we talk about ad nauseum in the Listing Collective, my coaching program. You want it to improve every single day. Listen, do I wish that I had the money of Warren Buffett or Bill Gates? Yes. Do I wish that I were living in a super cool, well, I'm living in a super cool place right now. But you always want something else. You always see where other people live, how much other people have. It's just not worth it. It is, again, a rat race. It's an endless track of despair is really what it comes down to. So these are some things that I think that you really need to stop doing to become a successful listing agent and just be a happier person in general. But this is all about doing less to get more, all right? You know that we only need to be doing a certain number of things in our listing business. Everything else you can delegate or defer, seriously. I mean, we should be, I don't like to work with buyers, but we should be working with sellers. We should be marketing their properties. We should be signing listing agreements. We should be negotiating contracts. And most importantly, we should be prospecting every single day to get new listings. That's it. Anything having to do with files or escrows or, inspections, all those kinds of things, you can delegate to somebody else. Concentrate on just the few things that you know that you need to do every single day and improve just by 2% every single day. And the long term, the success will be yours and you will be the most successful listing agent in your area.